Good morning. My name is Wahab Almuhtadi, and I am the president of IEEE Consumer Electronics Society. This is the IEEE Consumer Electronics Society TV show, and we call it CSOC TV show. Our guest today is Ms. Pamela Snively, the Vice President, Chief Data and Trust at TELUS. So, Pamela, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And first of all, I would like to thank you very much for being our keynote speaker. And your keynote is going to be within half an hour in this room. As you can see, we have a background behind us, the homepage of our conference. So thank you very much for being our keynote speaker today. And I do have some question for you. Just before I'm going to ask you, just tell me something about yourself and your experience in the telecom world.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure. As you said, my title at TELUS is Chief Data and Trust Officer, and I've been at TELUS for about 4 years now, always in that function. And primarily what I focus on is how to earn and maintain customer trust in how we handle data, so privacy, ethical data use, ensuring that everything that we're doing is consistent with our customers' expectations and what they would want us to be doing with their data.
Right, very good, very good. So that's great to hear this one here. So what is the primary motivation and concept for TELUS to focus on privacy and security, and especially privacy and security by design? And by the way, the TELUS CTO, Dr. Ibrahim Gideon, suggested to this conference to have the theme of this conference, security and privacy by design. And also TELUS, as you know, had a special issue with Consumer Electronic Magazine, also on security and privacy by design. So could you please let us know what is the motivation for that one?
Absolutely, and honestly, I feel incredibly fortunate to be doing what I do at TELUS, because TELUS is so committed to ensuring that we employ the principles of privacy and security by design in all of the products and services that we build. And really, our primary motivation is tied to our principle of putting the customer first. We see it as critically important, if we're going to put the customer first, to put their privacy first. That's their expectation, that's their right. And so we've taken that very, very seriously at TELUS. And what we recognized very early on was we can't just have a privacy office or a security office that looks at our initiatives after they're developed and determines whether or not they can go ahead. That's incredibly frustrating for our business teams who spend a lot of time developing products and services, and really doesn't put our best foot forward. We don't end up where we want to be if we approach it in that way. So what we did is we embraced the privacy and security by design principles, which is to enable our business and development teams to be able to design right from the point of ideation through the development of the products and services with privacy and security in mind. So they become core requirements of everything that we do at TELUS. That way there's no surprises if they come to my office at any point in the development process. We can give them guidance, but we're not suddenly shutting them down saying, no, you can't do it that way. Instead, we've been involved all along in helping them to develop it in a way that is privacy respectful.
I see. So the motivation of TELUS now is clear, and you have thousands of customers across Canada, and also you are dealing with many telecom companies and many high-tech companies. And so how is the coordination and implementation of this security and privacy by design with your customers?
How do we coordinate it with our customers?
Yes.
Well, before we go to market with any product or service, we have a very rigorous assessment process where we will ensure that we've looked at the product or service from a variety of different perspectives. So we're looking at from a security perspective, a legal perspective, a privacy perspective, a simple customer experience perspective, which I think is one of the most important aspects. So how will a customer experience what happened with their interaction with TELUS and what happened with their data? So that's one of the key areas that we've looked at is how can we build a governance program that will allow us to get our products and services to market quickly, but ensure that they meet our rigorous requirements for privacy and security.
Excellent, excellent. So you spend a lot of time talking about trust, and it is even in your title with Talos as VP.
Data and trust. Yeah.
Data and trust, or chief data and trust. And what is the reason for selecting this title? I mean,
I love that question, and I do get it a lot because it's an unusual title. For me, it was sort of a little bit. It's a great story. The title for the job that I interviewed for was privacy and compliance. But when I was interviewing with our CEO, we talked about privacy for a little while, and then he commented that I had, in 10 minutes of talking about privacy, never used the word compliance once, but I had used the word trust and ethics multiple times. And he said that he thought that was much more consistent with how we wanted to approach privacy. So he wanted to change the title of the job that I was interviewing for. I thought it was a lovely idea, but I didn't realize how impactful it would be, because what it did is it really changed the conversation internally at TELUS. So when we're talking to the business teams about how to develop a product or service and why they need to think about privacy, if I talk to them about compliance, their eyes glaze over and they will do the minimum possible to get through the compliance checklist.
That's correct.
But if I talk to them about customer trust, that's a language that they understand. They understand how important it is that our customers trust us, because that's core to what we do. They have to trust us with their data, and they have to trust us to do the right thing, or they won't want to participate in the digital ecosystem.
Right.
So if our business understands that, they will do so much more to achieve the outcome that we want, and that is for our customers to trust us and for us to be trustworthy.
I see. So basically you are giving the customer first, and to build that trust, with the customer itself. So since the CEO was admired with this and with this conversation 4 years ago, can you just tell us who is the CEO and president of Talos?
Absolutely, Darren Entwistle, and I feel very fortunate to have him as the leader of the organization, because he is so committed to privacy and security and to our philosophy of putting the customer first, and so it's made my job a lot easier. I often say I think I'm the luckiest chief privacy officer around, because I do have a leadership team that is deeply committed to privacy.
I see. So the headquarters, most of the people, they think that the headquarters is Edmonton, Alberta. Is that correct?
Our head office is actually in Vancouver.
In Vancouver?
In Vancouver, yes.
I see.
I work in Toronto, but we are scattered across the country. We're truly a national company, but our headquarters is in Vancouver.
So what do you think about the significant privacy and security challenges that some organizations they will face, and they will have some challenges to ensure that the security and privacy by design is one of their priority in their daily business? As you know, IEEE is a huge organization. IEEE is an Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and we have 500,000 members worldwide in 160 countries, and every year we have 1,600 conferences.
Wow.
And all of these conferences, they have technical papers, and these technical papers will go to our digital library, which is Explore, where companies and organizations can download the latest papers or whatever topic they are looking for. And then we have standards, around 3,000 standards, like Wi-Fi standards is IEEE standards. So what is your recommendations and suggestion to this organization, since the privacy and security is a significant issue here?
Right. So mainly what you're dealing with is more of a security issue. There's less personal information involved in IEEE, but there would still be some personal information. Normally, if I'm talking to a more of a commercial organization, I would be talking about the challenges associated with resisting the urge to just rush to market, that recognizing that is a short-term way of thinking, that we need to look at sustainable relationships with our customers, and in order to do so, that is where building trust becomes critical. So if we're short-term in developing an innovative data product that actually harms trust with our customers, then we'll lose those customers in the long term. So I would say avoid the short-term versus long-term thinking. But I think that's also true for organizations like IEEE, that as you architect for your library, and as you think about how you're bringing the information in and how you're storing it, you have to think long term, and not just what's the most efficient and effective methodology today, but what's going to sustain that relationship with all of your members in the long term, and maintain that trust that they know that their information is secure and available to them when they need it.
Right. So we know that Talos is a huge company, is large, and has its own monopoly within Canada. And Talos now focusing also from end to end users. What are the electronic devices? And Talos has so many suppliers for cell phones, also providing internet to home, right? Mm-hmm. So that's sometimes many end-to-end users. The end user, they have no idea about privacy and security by design. They just trust the service providers. And one of your concern as a big company to ensure that these devices are secured and they have their own privacy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a key concern for us, especially when we're looking at, as a provider of the internet service itself. Any experiences that our customers have online are relevant for us. So we want to make sure that our customers are always safe online, regardless of what devices they're using. We spend a lot of time focused on educating our customers. We have our TELUS Wise program, which is a free educational program that teaches people how to be safe online. We go into classrooms. We have an educational program for kids, for parents, for seniors, for adults, on how to stay safe online. But we're also focused on our end-to-end supply chain. So the products and services that we will put onto our platforms, for example, in our smart home, very focused on what are those products and services that we will plug into that platform for our customers, and how can we ensure that those are consistent with what our customers would expect from TELUS. And in addition to vetting those products and services, how can we help to educate our customers about how best to set them up and implement them, and how best to use them. So very focused on education, as well as on transparency with our customers, trying to give more information to our customers who want more information. Not everyone wants to read about how things are built and how things work and how their data is handled, but some people do want to hear about that. And so we try to have information available for those who want to go and seek it out.
Right. So what is your message to other organizations and in relation to innovations and keeping the data secured? So what is your message?
So I usually have a pretty clear call to action for companies, organizations out there right now, including the government, that if we want to reap the benefits of innovation with data, and there are so many, such clear benefits, so many things that we can improve in our world, socially, economically, from a health perspective. So many answers are lying in the data, and But if we want to benefit from those answers, if we want to be able to leverage the data for innovation, then we need to make sure that we haven't blown it with customer trust before we get the opportunity to leverage that data. And this is not something that TELUS can do alone. This is something that every organization needs to be thinking about, because every time we have someone who breaches consumer trust, the trust in the entire digital ecosystem goes down just a little bit. So we all need to be thinking about this and looking to build a sustainable model that is based on products and services that are that have put privacy and security into their very design.
Right. So our conference this week, which is International Conference on Consumer Electronics, and also we do have, in the same time, we have the CIS, the Consumer Electronics Show, where around 200,000 people will attend the show, and I hope that they will have a chance to go and see the CES. So our society is now, for the time being, for this year, is IEEE Consumer Electronics Society, and it is one of the oldest of IEEE societies. We have around 39 societies, from communications to aerospace to power, and one of them is Consumer Electronics Society. So due to the dynamic changes within consumer electronics industry, we decided to change the name of the society for the first time. So now the society name will be Consumer Technology Society. So because it is not just hardware only, but it is now software, hardware integrations.
Very true.
And every consumer electronics. What is your message to this society? I mean, from your experience of trust, security, and privacy. So
that's a great question, and I do love that name change. I think that's really important. It sends a really important message. But you talked about sort of the interconnectivity, and we're talking about software and hardware, and we are talking about entire chains. I've referred to the digital ecosystem, that we need to be thinking differently about how we protect privacy and security. It's no longer just, am I building this one thing with privacy and security in mind? It is, I'm building this that's going to be used in this way by these consumers, and it's going to plug into this other system and these other pieces of hardware, and thinking about that entire ecosystem so that we are considering that entire chain of data handling practices if we're participating in it at all. And we can't just be responsible for the one piece that is that we're innovating on. We have to think about the entire digital ecosystem. So that requires a level of coordination that we haven't seen in the past, but I think is absolutely doable. And it requires more events and more communication like this for members to learn about what each other is working on, and looking for opportunities to coordinate our activities and to raise the bar in terms of privacy and security technology as well. Because I think that's a big part of consumer technology is building products and services that actually protect privacy and security.
Excellent. So I'm really glad to hear from a giant telecom and high-tech company. To confirm that the name change of the society is the right things to do, and just to respond to the changes in consumer electronics industry. Mm-hmm. It is good to hear that, Pamela, and I do appreciate that. And another question is, what is your message to the people who are in the development and design and engineers with regard to the security and privacy by design?
Right. Well, so much of this depends on the engineers, the developers, the design teams, and what I would ask of them and advocate to them is to ask more questions. Don't allow yourselves to be hived off from decisions around data practices, privacy and security standards, that this is core to what you're doing, and don't let it just sit in a privacy office or a security office. Right. Ask for whatever the list is, what are the standards, so that you can build to those from the get-go, because I think in this world of data innovation, if we're going to say we're a data company, or you're a data expert, or you're an innovation expert in consumer electronics, then you have to be thinking about privacy and security. That has to be a core requirement. And so don't let yourself be isolated from the development of those standards and from the use and knowledge around those standards.
My last question to you, Pamela, is we built the trust between IEEE, Consumer Electronic Society, and Talos. And the special issue of Consumer Electronics Magazine will be published in March this year.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, and you are part of the team too. I mean, so, and Dr. Gideon too. So, how we will maintain our relationship and enhance it so we can be in the same path. I mean, on this.
Great question. Absolutely want to do that. I think it's critical to ensure that the engineers who are developing these products and services, as I said, are on the same page. That we are looking for opportunities to leverage the expertise that sits within the IEEE, and that we have wonderful use cases. I think that can provide great grounds for research.
One of them is research, and also the publications itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you did support the conference. As you can see, Talos' name is just one of the main patron of this conference here. So I'm looking forward to work with Talos on behalf of the Consumer Electronic Society as a president. And I really appreciate your existence today here in Vegas. And I'm looking forward for your keynote speech today.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.